Hello, everyone's Forest Focus. It's the international break for Nottingham Forest men, but the women's team are charging on after beating Stourbridge 9-0 at the weekend to make it 5 wins out of 5 at the start of the season. Joining me to discuss all that and look ahead to the game against Burnley at the City Ground at the weekend is team manager Carly Davies. Carly, good to have you back with us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, Matt. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to having a chat and a catch up.
Yes, well, I was. Last time you were on, we were talking about your wedding. I assume that went okay. This is going to be a terrible start to the conversation if it didn't.
Yeah, no, it was. We had a really lovely summer. Yeah, it was wonderful. And then straight back to it when we got a new job. She's the Southampton head coach now. So yeah, she's one end of the country and I'm in the middle. So that's fun trying to navigate.
Yes, yeah. Well, we spoke too much about your personal life last time. That does sound like a challenge, certainly. Let's talk about football then. 5 wins out of 5. I guess it couldn't have gone any better. I don't know. I guess managers are always looking for more and perfection, which doesn't exist. But how do you reflect on the start of the season?
Obviously, we're pleased that we've started the season with wins and positive performances. I think everybody's seen that we've had a large influx of new players. So if that's going to take time for players to build relationships and connections, which I think we've been seeing, like when we're not quite on the same page sometimes when we're trying to build and our rotations, etc. But that is going to take time. But to say that we've got a largely new group and then put in the performances and the results that we have is credit to the players. So we're really pleased. But obviously, as you said, there's always things that we're looking to improve on.
And people watching might not be aware of like the volume of goals. Is it 31 scored and 1 conceded? Is that right?
It's 1 conceded. I'm not sure what the goal score is. It's not something that I really pay much attention to, if I'm honest. For us, it's just about the performance and then putting the 3 points up on the board. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the actual total of the scores are, but yeah, it's something that obviously we're pleased to be scoring goals, but really the 3 points is what matters for us.
Most recently was the Stourbridge game at the weekend. Then I went and took my daughter to it and really enjoyed it, and she really enjoyed it. And we'll talk about that sort of towards the end. But the game was so one-sided. I said to her before we started, I felt a bit sorry for Stourbridge at the end. I guess you can't really have that attitude during the match, so though, can you? What were your thoughts on that game in general and how you played in it?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. We don't want to see players upset. Unfortunately, that shows the disparity in the league. There's a handful of clubs that are investing heavily, and then obviously the league is an amateur one. So when you've got teams such as ourselves who are as close to professional as we can be this year, and then you've got Burnley doing a similar thing, that you're starting to see the score lines that you're seeing. That's not nice for the opposition. But what we have to do is make sure that we don't drop our standards because of that. And that's a challenge. It is difficult. And that's one thing that we're always trying to drive with the players. We've put a very competitive squad together. And it's only natural sometimes when you're playing against teams where you are dominating the ball a lot that those standards can drop. You see it in even the top men's leagues, when they're playing in FA Cup fixtures, it's difficult to not drop your standards sometimes. But yeah, we just have to remain consistent in our performances, no matter whether we're playing a top side or a bottom half side in the league. And that's something that is my job and the staff's job to ensure that we drive that in the players.
Did you like the attitude of the players as well? Because you scored a lot of goals late in the game, but there was no showboating about it. I mean, I remember Spurs coming to, they were, I think they were 2-0 up, and Richarlison was taking the piss and got absolutely hammered and deserved it, I thought. But none of your players went about it in that way. It was, do you feel like you went about it the right way and did what you had to do at the end of the day?
Yeah, it's that's part of the cultural piece. When we recruit players that fit into the Forest values and the Forest ways, and what we would expect in terms of how a player conducts themselves. We will always be humble in our approach, but we'll be ruthless in it as well. One of the things that the team are is very together, and you see that. So one of the things that we say to them is, if it's a goal that's scored or it's a last inch tackle or a block or a save, that we celebrate those small wins together. And I think that's probably what you're alluding to, where you've seen that, no matter whether it was the first goal or the ninth goal, they celebrate those goals together. equally, we will respect the opposition. We know that it's very difficult for teams to come and play at the City Ground, particularly when we're having the contact time that we are, and they're only training twice a week. So I would be disappointed in my players if they disrespected the opposition, and I think they know that. But we've got good people in the building. So,
is another challenge for you team selection? Because I saw your goals against Wolves, and Mel Johnson scored, I think, 3, and then she was on the bench for this one, and you're bringing on like Amy Sims and other good players. Is that as much of a challenge for you as anything this season as manager?
Yeah, of course, but it's something that I think we were missing last season. Obviously, I think I said when we spoke last season that I come into the role pretty late in the day, so recruitment had already been done. Whereas this season, obviously, the uplift in the programme happened before pre-season, just before pre-season started. So we could really do the work on recruitment, and we wanted to have strength and depth in the team across all units. And I think that's what we're seeing now. The players know that it's not just good enough to be in the side on a Sunday that win the game. They have to perform in training, and they have to be consistent in their training levels. Because we're most likely going to win more games than we don't. So it can't be a rule that if you're in a team on a Sunday and you win the game, that it means that you keep your shirt on Sunday. It just doesn't work that way, not with the strength and quality that we have in the team this year. I've told the players that, they know that. I think you've seen with the players that come on the pitch at half time and partway through the second half, the levels that they're at now and the levels that they know they need to maintain. That's a great position for me to be in as a head coach. However, it does give you headaches in the week when you're trying to pick your team. But what we also have done is gone out and recruited players that have some versatility and difference in their game. So we have a very strong midfield unit this year, but they all offer something a little bit different. Some games are going to require certain individuals, and then other games will require skill sets from other individuals. And that's a position that we're very fortunate in, that we've built a team this year that has that strength, depth, and I guess difference in the group. So it's going to really hold us and help us in good stead as we go through this journey this season.
I just wanted to talk about the crowds as well a little. I mean, it was just short of 1,000 people there, and that was really good. I think because I was doing these videos a couple of years ago, and the team was maybe playing in front of 250, 300. So that shows the progression as well, I guess. And it's great at the end as well. I know I've said this a lot, but like my daughter was having photos with 3 of the players, and all the young girls who were there did that as well. I mean, that must be pretty uplifting, and the encouragement and the backing that you get as well at the City Ground.
Yeah, the fans have always been fantastic here. It was one of the things before I even took the role that I was very impressed with when I was, doing a little bit of coaching at West Brom the season before. And when we played Nottingham Forest, I was massively impressed with the following. But that is credit to the media team that we have at the club. They really push the content around the women's team, and rightly so. So that they get the exposure. And one of the things that we want to do this year is continue to build that fan base, and the work that goes on behind the scenes to do that. Obviously, us playing at the City Ground is a huge piece of work. We want to build the fan base as much as we can. It also means that families and people that perhaps don't get access to the City Ground because they perhaps can't afford it, can come and have that same match day experience with the women's team. So we just want to continue to keep building the fan base with the women's team, and hopefully as we continue to be successful on the pitch, that'll help as well. So long may that continue.
We'll start talking about the Burnley game in 1 second, but just before we do that, a word for our sponsors, as ever, the Trent Navigation. This is going out on Wednesday, and Wednesday night is pizza night. Every Wednesday, pizzas are £8.50 from the Nav. Book your table, trentnavigation.com. I have sampled them, and they are very good. I got abuse for not eating the crusts, which I thought was a bit unfair, because that's where the calories are. You've got to watch your weight. All the good stuff is in the centre. So I'd certainly highly recommend them. Carly, every guest who comes on and is featured in a pizza advert has to say what their favourite pizza is. So you've got to provide an answer. What are you saying?
Oh, I'm a pepperoni pizza, but it has to have jalapenos on, and I love hot sauce. I think I said this before, so it'll be that covered in hot sauce as well.
Have I asked you this before?
I think it was the curry question last time.
It was the curry question. Okay, yeah. I need to expand the repertoire of adverts. No, that's interesting to know. Oh, you really do like spicy food, and that's too rich for me. But well done to you. Well done to you. Right, let's talk about the Burnley game then. It's an interesting one because I don't think it's going to be 9-0 by the sound of it. I'm not an expert, but if we put the league table up, you can see here that, bear with me, I've switched browsers if people are interested in that, and it slowed me down. There we go. There's the league table. Forest are top. It says Nottingham here. That's really bad. The only team with a 100% record. Burnley are third. 1-3, lost one of their league games so far. It's interesting, Carly. Are you really? Would you say Burnley are your main rivals for the title? Is that fair, or is that pushing it?
I think probably on paper and from an investment perspective, then you would say yes. I think realistically, there's 4 teams in that title race. I know we obviously beat Wolves by a significant scoreline, but I still believe they'll be in and amongst that come the end of the season. And you've seen that with them obviously beating Burnley last week. So, and Rugby Borough have obviously gone about their business quite quietly as well. Obviously lost against Stoke. So, what we don't do is look at sort of our results, their results, and go, okay, well now we know where we stand, because football just doesn't work that way. But I think probably that top 4, as you're looking at it now, is probably what I expect to see come the end of the season. In what order, we don't know.
So I could hear people in the stand around me, a couple who must watch regularly, saying, oh, it'd be great if Wolves beat Burnley, but I can't see it happening. So when you saw that result afterwards as a group, you don't take any notice of it at all then?
No, obviously, like we're going to keep an eye on the results. The two other games this weekend just gone. So Rugby playing Stoke, and then Wolves playing Burnley. Like I said, I believe those are sort of the teams that we expect to be in and amongst the top. So if I'm honest, I expected that it wasn't going to be plain sailing for either of those 2 teams, and that's what we've seen. So. But like we said to the girls, yes, the results have gone our way, but it's very early days in the season. We have to now go and get a result against Burnley and try and pull away from them where we can. But on any given day, there's lots of factors that go into winning games of football. So we would just focus, as always, on making sure the team are well prepared for this fixture. And then hopefully the players can go out there and perform, and we can get the right result.
This game's going to be much closer, I'm sure. Where are games like this going to be won and lost when there might only be 1 goal in it potentially?
I think it's consistency, in my opinion. And this is one of the things that I was alluding to earlier on, when you're playing against the likes of Stourbridge, that you don't get complacent in the way that you play. So like how our structure looks away from the ball, so we call it our rest defence. Teams can get sloppy, and they can commit too many numbers forward when they're playing against teams that they can perhaps get away with doing that. That was something that we focused very much on going into the weekend, that we have to remain structured and vigilant in our approach to games, because if we start breeding bad habits, and then those bad habits trickle into sort of a Burnley fixture, we'll get caught out on them. So I think what we always see in these sorts of games, that it's moments of transition that win and lose these types of games. So who remains focused, who's switched on, who's commanding the pitch and the spaces on the pitch. And that, for me, is ultimately where these sort of fixtures will be won and lost. So we know that they've got players that can cause problems. We know that they've recruited relatively well, but so have we. So we will just focus on our own game strategy and our game plan, and trust that our players will go out and perform and get the 3 points.
I suppose as well, like, your defence didn't have anything to do on Saturday. Not defensively. Actually, Cara Hamilton did do one really good piece of running back and saw off some danger. And they were really good on the ball, obviously. But do them and the keeper probably relish this challenge? It's the Wolves is a big test as well. But this feels like a really big test for them in the season. Will they be right up for it as well, to show what they can do, keeping the ball out of the net as well?
Yeah, of course. We last season we didn't keep anywhere near as many clean sheets as we would have liked. That's a piece of work that's been going on in the background during pre-season, and as we continue on this journey, the positioning in which we operate our centre halves, our full backs, and our goalkeeper lend itself to how we want to dominate space. So obviously you'll see that we play a relatively high line. So the space in behind, we can be exposed if we don't counter press effectively. But then we have to be prepared in those moments that transition might happen and teams might try and put the ball in behind us, which is sort of a moment that you've just alluded to there with Cara. So we're obviously aware that when we're playing against stronger teams, that those though I'd say, is it vulnerabilities? I suppose so in some ways, because it's the way we're asking the team to play, but that we're in a position to be able to deal with those effectively. That might mean that we have to tweak positioning slightly dependent upon the opposition that we're playing against and the strength that they might have in certain areas. But that's our job as technical coaches. That's my job as the head coach, to make sure that we get those finer details right, so that we can still approach every game focusing on our own strategy, but equally we are aware of the threats that the opposition pose, and that we tweak things according to that to make sure that we don't leave ourselves exposed.
Your centre halves are interesting. Am I right in saying one scored a goal from 30 yards from a free kick, and she's also scored one in the top corner and having her own goal of the season competition? And then Lindsay Harkin, I don't know, you wouldn't have seen Michael Dawson play for Forest, but she's pinging ball 40, 50-yard balls out to the wing. She's on corners. They've got some talent there as well, haven't they?
Yeah, well, I think what probably a lot of Forest fans don't know is that when we signed Molly, we signed her as a midfielder initially, because of her attributes and the way that we wanted to play. I had a conversation with her last season and moved her to centre half. She had played there before at Coventry, but by trade she was originally a midfielder, and you can see that because she has the ability to spray balls and she can shoot from distance, which is what you're alluding to there. You've seen that. And that's something that Molly's done throughout her career. That's two very good shots from distance we've seen, and goals this season from set plays. And there's a reason why we work the set plays the way we do to get Molly on the ball, because that's a threat that she has, and that's obviously brilliant for us. And then coming back to Lino, obviously, we did a lot of work with Lino last season on changing her game up. We know she can hit the ball over distance. We've seen that in previous years with the way that the team operated before I come in. But what we wanted to do was make sure that she could play inside shape as well. And what she's excellent at is finding those little reverse passes inside play, which opens teams up. And we added that to her game, and that's credit to her as well, and her ability to be able to do that. So we're very lucky with the two centre halves that we have, that they're both good players technically on the ball. But that was important for us, because the way that we would like to dominate the ball, a lot of that starts with our centre halves. We're just very thankful that we have them on our team and not against us.
Yeah, Molly Green, I should have said there, was the one who scored from distance. Lindsay Harkin as well. I mean, we'll come on to her 300 games, but like you say, her passing is really impressive, and she's stuck with you. She's not one of you had a big turnover of players, but she's still with you. Is she just progressing her game year on year, even though I guess she's in the latter stages of her career? I don't actually know how old she is, but is she a bit like, I don't know, Ryan Yates in the men's team, that every challenge you present to her, she rises to it?
Yeah, I think obviously, when a player such as Lindsay has been at the club as long as she had, and she's played under different managers, people have different approaches. Some are a little bit more direct, so that limits your opportunities to develop certain areas of your game. Some will play a short game, so that limits your opportunity to play over distance. And I think with the versatility of manager that she's worked with, it's helped her to evolve her game. And I think that was one of the things that I wanted to do when I come in is try and get her to look for passes in between lines rather than around and over. And that is her first instinct now. Sometimes it needs to go wide or over before it goes inside, and it's just those decision-making elements. But we're seeing that now as we're sort of evolving our playing style, that we're not shying away from, if we need to be direct in our approach, we will do that. If we need to play round or over a team, we will do that. So, and the fact that we have two centre halves who can do both sides of the game is excellent for us. I think Lino has been brilliant, and since I come in, she obviously took on board what I wanted to do with the team. She's the captain. She wants to lift that trophy at the end of the season and have that be her legacy, and rightly so. So we're just doing everything in our power as a coaching staff to make sure that we continue to develop these players. It doesn't matter whether they're 21, 31, 32, 35. They still want to learn, and that was also part of the player that we recruited. Is we wanted players that didn't just come here and think they know it all. Like, they want to learn still. Even the Kate Longhurst of the world, she wants to be held accountable. She wants to learn. She wants to evolve her game at 35 when she's done it, mostly done it all. So that's credit to them as people, but also it's the type of personality that we wanted in the building. So they're all a pleasure to work with.
And just lastly as well, that was Lindsay's 300th game for the club, which I guess is, to put into context with people who only follow the men's game, I guess that's like 600, 700 games really with the volume of matches you play. So that's pretty incredible achievement.
It's a wonderful achievement. I said it in my post-match interview that I think, unless you're sort of aware really of the women's domestic leagues and how many games they play, for the most part, it's 22 fixtures. And to hit those numbers for one team is massive. Like, you look at the WSL leading performers, and they're up in the 150s, 160s, and the WSL has been running, I think, now for 11, 12 years. So to be hitting that number in that amount of time, and then for one player to hit that with one club, that just shows, like, that is a huge achievement, and one that as a club we wanted to celebrate. And I think that we did that very, very well on Sunday, and that those will continue into the Burnley game as well. And we're just really pleased for Lino, and to be able to share that moment with her children and her husband and her family at the City Ground when we're on the journey that we're on is fantastic. And like I've said before, I just hope that we can top that off with watching her lift that trophy at the end of the season.
Definitely. Right. If you have enjoyed this, do us a favor, hit like on the video, do subscribe. You can become a channel member, give us a lovely review on iTunes. As I say, I do enjoy reading all those, and Spotify as well. That'd be great. We always end with any other business. So open floor, I guess. If you say anything you want, whether you want to do a shameless ticket plug or anything, the floor's yours, Carly.
You've put me on the spot now.
I know. Yeah, that's the joy of it. Yeah, you can say anything you want about anything, really.
Well, I haven't got anything shameless to say, but what I will do is I'll take this moment to thank the fans for their support so far this season. There's been a lot of good things coming out on social media about the team. And yeah, we're really going to need your support this weekend for the Burnley fixture at home. It's a huge fixture in the calendar window. So please come down, support us, be in full voice. We're definitely going to need you. We want to continue to grow the game here at Nottingham Forest, and you guys are a huge part of that. So thank you first and foremost for your support now. And yeah, we just ask you to continue that and see us through to the end of the season, and hopefully what will be a successful year for us.
Good. There you go. Put you on the spot, and you delivered. The club will be very happy with that. So well done. Good stuff. Right. Thanks to everyone who's joined us today. We'll be back tomorrow with our live show at the Nav, which is really good, with Lewis. Thursday, Liverpool match preview. Friday, Liverpool opposition preview with Josh Williams, who's really good. I used to work with him. Really tactical expert. And then Saturday, Liverpool post-match show. Carly, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you for having me anytime.
Well done on the pizza choice as well. That was a highlight of the many that we've had. So yeah, good luck for the weekend. Have a good day, everyone. And if we don't see you tomorrow, we shall see you soon.